All right, good morning, everybody. I don't believe we had news today. Let me see. Oh, yeah, we had real estate data. Let me see here. Building permits at 1.52 over 1.5, and housing starts 1.52 over 1.43. So real estate is still looking pretty good. Last few numbers we've seen out of the real estate market have been fairly bullish, at least for the real estate market itself. All right, looking at the overnight levels here, we have the overnight high at 52.19, overnight low almost exactly on the weekly open. So that weekly open magnet definitely doing its job here. Tried to break out on Monday, sold off and pulled back into that weekly open. So typically on the FOMC weeks, we like to see that weekly open act as a magnet, and anytime it tries to break out on Monday and Tuesday, it pulls back and retests that level. So retesting that level almost to the exact tick on the overnight low here. Definitely looks pretty good for now. So be careful with any breakouts today. It looks like it wants to hang out around that weekly open, which in this case is 86. The lower tail that we would have targeted today from yesterday has been filled in. So that lower tail has been pretty much completely retraced. We've got a little bit left. There's kind of a failed rotation right now. So we do have a bit of an incomplete auction. If we take the low here to that weekly open, you can see we started retracing that value area high, but we did not finish that retrace. So we do have a little bit of an incomplete auction there, so keep an eye on that. Could fill in down to 75. Right now, we're kind of right in the middle of the day. EOC is a little bit high, 5209. All right, let's take a look at our trade plan here. So today's a little hard to classify. We don't have a very obvious shape. I think I would consider this a D shape because of that bounce. We'll say D shape. We will say we're opening bearish below yesterday's value. There's no possible overnight fade. Macro is pretty flat. Do we have any data after the bell today? No, we do not. Initial balance holding below 92 should fill in that incomplete auction, which would go down to 75. And there's a low at 67. If we can hold above 11, look for that overnight high into 20. And then we have that value retrace going into, here, let me delete these levels here. So the overnight high is almost exactly yesterday's value low. So if we hold above that, we should get a value retrace possibly into 36. So kind of a choppy day, stuck in between a couple of major levels. All right, let's take a look at a few things here. Like our momentum is pretty bearish, but you're trying to bounce. Dollar's still pretty flat. Looks like Russell's trying to bounce pretty aggressively here. Google looks like it's going down for that gap fill. Tech is pretty red. Nvidia coming down, Apple down a little bit, Facebook down. Looks like finance is doing okay, which is probably why Russell is bouncing. Finance, consumer services, commercial services, these pretty much go together. Utilities, yeah, pretty much all the Russell sectors are doing well today. So keep an eye on Russell. Russell doesn't look too bad. Pretty weak on the open here. Good morning, everybody. What's going on, Aquarius? Good morning, Fatal. Good morning, DJ, Newbie, Omar, Leo, AT, Zanuck, Mark. Good morning, Ryder. Good morning, Theo, Angelo. Good morning, Boat, Play a Maid, Simon. What's going on, Blood, Miles, Techie. Good morning, Cypher. Good morning, UG. Let's do this. What's going on, man? Good morning, Ray. Tamer, Steve. Good morning, eBay. What's going on, Jones, Dean, 18, Andrew, Larry. Good morning, Joan. Good morning, Jack. And good morning, Greg. Appreciate all the members in here. A lot of members in here. Fatal, Omar, AT, Mark, Angelo, Techie, and Greg. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Good morning to you guys in Discord as well. Thank you guys for all being here. Breaking that 1 hour delta here. Looking a little weak on NASDAQ. Not breaking on ES so far, so ES isn't as weak. We're currently in a rotation, so it's probably going to come down and finish this rotation. It's actually finishing it right now. This would be a failed rotation. It's failing that POC and finishing the failure by hitting the low there. If you hold on to 96, your rotation goes back into 5210. We talked about this in Discord yesterday, but typically when you have these afternoon breakouts, they like to be reversed. We were talking about how this one didn't really need to be reversed because you already had 3 reversals before that 4th breakout. So this breakout is pretty clean. So we have that opening session trading outside the afternoon session there. But yeah, yesterday, the afternoon breakout reversal strategy, you had 3 small reversals, and then that 4th one finally broke. That sounds terrible, Jim. If it was a technical issue on their end, they might recover your accounts. I'd see if you can message them about that. That'd be a terrible way to lose accounts, though. NASDAQ selling very quickly. It is definitely more bearish than ES here. Any opinions on Bank of Japan? No, I haven't seen any headlines today. I saw some headlines recently. I know the yen was starting to come back. But no, I'm not too informed on that, so I can't really I can't give you an opinion on that. Good morning, Music, Tom, Joom, Faraj, David. Still pretty bearish on NASDAQ here. Bitcoin's down nearly 6%. Let me take a look. Oh yeah, nasty day for Bitcoin. That's probably going to be hitting a lot of our trails. I can't remember exactly where I put my trails, but I'm pretty sure this is hitting a couple of them because it's down about 10,000. You have a daily pivot here at 62.4. Do not want to lose that level. Ethereum also not looking too good. Ethereum is down 21% from the high. That is definitely hitting our trails. I'll have to take a look at my Coinbase later today. I try not to over monitor my long-term stuff too much. That's the worst thing you can do with long-term portfolios is look at them every single day. Nvidia down almost 4% today. Pretty red day for the markets across the board. I think the only thing that's green is oil. Japan was hiking their rates. Yeah, they were talking about doing that for quite a while. But I don't think that was too much of a surprise. The dollar is still pretty strong against the yen. Yeah, dollar and yen are not looking too bad. Still holding that value real low. Just keep an eye on the dollar with the Bank of Japan news, see if it wants to come down. But so far, it is holding up pretty nicely. Which is not the greatest for ES, obviously, if it holds that correlation. We have FOMC tomorrow, so we'll see some action on the dollar tomorrow. A lot of ECB headlines coming out. We're pretty balanced today, so we should be bouncing off of this value low. I'd say NASDAQ is less balanced, obviously. NASDAQ a little bit more bearish here. NASDAQ is back inside that value area of Friday. It is almost finished. It has to go down to 35 to complete that rotation. We had a poor low yesterday on ES that still is not repaired. So ES and NASDAQ both kind of doing the same thing. They both created that incomplete auction. NASDAQ is much closer to repairing that than ES is. So keep an eye on NASDAQ here. Could go down another 20 points or so. Failing VWAP on the back test here. NASDAQ nowhere near VWAP. Not too wide of an opening session, only 6 TPOs here. Sitting right on that cash POC. We actually didn't have a poor low on ATAS, only on TradingView. Or no, sorry, that was a different day. Here's yesterday. So we do have a poor low on ATAS, okay. Just double checking the poor low there. A little bit of resistance at 15 if we pop into that level as well. Still has a slight bearish bias, but you are trying to balance out. Good morning, Yusa. Only trades we've seen today are VWAP trades. You've failed VWAP a few times. NASDAQ hasn't even touched VWAP since the sell-off. Might be putting in a triangle here, which would be building this POC node. All right, here's VWAP on NQ. We'll see if it respects it. Also hitting the session VWAP on ES. Delta not too bad on NASDAQ. Decent little delta pop there. It is bouncing a little early. They did not finish that value retrace. It needed to go down to 35. Not the best price action we're seeing today. It's currently in a rotation. We'll see if it can finish the rotation back into 5208. It's already failed one rotation today before it even completed one, so rotations aren't looking too good. This is the day before the FOMC, so a lot of that momentum is probably going to be pulled back. Failing VWAP here. NASDAQ's had some pretty strong reactions on VWAP recently. Bit of a pullback on oil. Could be a cup and handle. Oil's been extremely choppy recently. Hasn't fully decided if it wants to stay out of this daily range. You've clearly broken the range at this point, but you still have a lot of sell pressure trying to bring it back. At 85 level would be the next major target. You got a little bit of a target around 83.50. Pretty good example of micro pullback here. You have that big breakout, and then you have a doji. You broke the doji high and then just started ripping. Nice little breakout there on oil. All right, decent delta here on ES. Let's see if we can stay above VWAP. It's looking for that rotation back into 08. Looks like Bitcoin's recovering a little bit. Off the low by about 1,000. Pretty nasty sell-off, 6% overnight. I guess the days of going to sleep and waking up and your crypto's worth more money is over for now. Solana taking a pretty big hit. It was above 200 and back to 180. Apple and Amazon and Microsoft all turning green. The rest are pretty red. Nvidia down 3%. I'd keep an eye on Tesla, to be honest. Tesla has not had one of its like really big bull cycles in quite a while. Hasn't had a really big pump since like 2021. I guess the pump from 2023 was pretty strong. Went from 100 to 300. If it gets back down to like 115, 120, doesn't look too bad. They haven't really had any good news recently. They had a few headlines about like their Roadster. They're trying to get their Roadster out finally. He was saying the other day the Roadster's not even like a car. He was saying it's going to have like rocket technology or something stupid. Trying to hold above VWAP here, still in a upper rotation, even though it's very choppy. Rotation looking for 08. I didn't even know BitMEX was still operating, but supposedly BitMEX had a flash crash down to 9,000 on Bitcoin. BitMEX used to do that all the time, though. It doesn't mean that orders are actually trading down there. They're trying to save NVIDIA. A couple of analysts upgrading NVIDIA as they're down today. No, I've never used Bitstamp. The big ones that I used was Bittrex. Then we moved on from Bittrex to, I think it was BitMEX after that. And then we were on Binance, FTX, Deribit. I think that covers the big ones that we were on. Yeah, I thought the keynote was yesterday. Is it today as well? That rotation is nearly complete, needs a few more points. Is it only today, or was there a piece of the keynote yesterday? Because I saw some headlines saying that it was happening after hours yesterday. Today is the AI Outlook speech. Gotcha. Which VWAP is better? I typically just say to use both. There's really no reason to only use one of them. If you're talking in terms of like statistics, then obviously the session VWAP would be technically stronger because it's longer lasting, it has more participants. But there's no reason not to use both of them. Couple more points here on this rotation, needs about 4 more points. NASDAQ buy signal is up about 30 points. There's a very small bear div here. You can see the delta kind of falling off. You could correct that in a very short amount of time, like one candle could correct that. But you are showing a bear div. Keep an eye on NASDAQ. NASDAQ, I believe, has finished the rotation already. Let me double check. I actually know NASDAQ's profile is much wider. So NASDAQ not even close. Correcting that bear div, keep an eye on VWAP on NQ here. VWAP at 133. Stalling a little early here. There's no bear div anymore. If the backtest of VWAP holds here, it should bounce back into that rotation. I wouldn't expect too much out of today. It's most likely going to be pretty slow. What time is the AI Outlook speech music, do you know? It's 11:30, gotcha. So we'll keep an eye on a video around that time. Getting a little weak here. Let's see if it wants to lose VWAP. Yeah, it's not really an anchored VWAP. It's just the cash VWAP. I just have to anchor it on ATAS because it doesn't have the 930 setting. The built-in VWAP uses the full VWAP. Currently sitting on 7 TPOs for the day. Very tight day here. Typical Monday and Tuesday before the FOMC on Wednesday. Still holding VWAP for now. Pretty strong reaction off VWAP. Decent buy pressure. Keep an eye on that 5-minute high there. We were one time frame, even though it looks very choppy. This is actually a decent trend on the 5-minute. 5-minute high is being broken, 5-minute low is being protected. But then we broke the 5-minute low here, so this bounce needs to break the 5-minute high to get back into that one time frame. When the 1-minute looks like this, you just want to monitor the 5-minute and see if you have like a triangle, so you're building up a node, or do you have a one time frame where you're breaking one side of the candle? And this right here is very one directional. Yeah, you could do that as well. You could customize the time, or you can just anchor it to wherever you want it, whichever one's easier. You shouldn't, newbie. You should have whatever your balance is that you signed up for. So like if you signed up for a 50K evaluation and then you pass it, you should have a 50K account. The paid account always goes back to whatever your starting price was or your starting account size was on the evaluation. So if you sign up for like 100K, it will go back to 100K. Notice how that 5-minute candle did not break the high, so we are getting a little bearish here. Keep an eye on these lows now. Dollar's coming down pretty rapidly. You'd expect some buy pressure on ES, but I don't think it's paying too much attention to the dollar today. You might be looking at the wrong numbers, newbie. You might be looking at the what is it called on Apex? It's called like max account balance or something like that. So you have your account size and you have your max for your trail. So your max can go up, yes, but your actual account size is not going to be higher. Basically, what it tells you is that is where your trail is based on. So if you have a big winning trade, but then you let it come back, they're going to take the maximum price from that trade and then trail it from there. But on a paid account, that will never go higher than your break even. So that's the main difference on the paid account opposed to the evaluation account. The evaluation account will always trail. It will constantly trail. But the paid account stops at your break even. Because if it didn't stop at your break even, there'd be no way to make withdrawals. Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on oil. It's just continuing upward here. The next target would be 83.50 is the next major target. And then 85 would be the next target above that. Getting a little extended on oil. Okay, another failed rotation. That's the second failed rotation today. $95 would complete the failed rotation. Okay, failed rotation nearly complete. Looking for 95 there, bouncing a little early. Yeah, eBay, that is called I always get them mixed up. I believe that's a straddle. It's either a straddle or a strangle. I always get them mixed up. I believe that's called a straddle. Um, you're not betting on directional bias, you're just betting on a spike in volatility. The problem with that strategy is it's not a hidden strategy, right? Everybody does that. Everybody thinks that they can just play a straddle for like FOMC or like these other big news events, and they're going to be the only person playing that. The problem is everybody is playing that. So the price of those contracts are spiked. It's priced in for the most part. So in order to make money off that strategy, you really need the volatility to spike. You're not betting on Delta, you're betting on Vega. Vega is the volatility on the options contracts. Yeah, here's a link for payouts. I know you guys ask about Apex payouts a lot. There's a link for that. They cover pretty much all your questions in there. That's one thing about Apex I will give them is they're like their support articles are very good. They're very good at writing pretty much everything you need to know on their website. Could be turning into a bulldog here. Little curved back double bottom coming in. All right, so far, 3 out of 4 things you need for a bulldog are there. You just need that pullback that puts in the head of the bulldog. It seems like it's respecting the cash rotations much more than the full session. So cash rotation would be 02 and 97, which is a 5-point rotation, which pretty much means that it's not worth trading. But if you are looking at those rotations, I'd pay attention to that cash profile, not the full profile. It doesn't have the momentum to finish the full one. Dollar's still free falling here, which is probably helping the buy pressure. Not really a lot of movement today. The only thing moving is crypto, and that's mostly overnight. Microsoft and Apple pretty bullish, trying to break the highs here. Ten-year yield back to 4.3%. Sitting right on that high. If it starts breaking out, not looking too good. Anybody in here have any real estate agent friends? How are they reacting to that settlement? It's basically screwing over their wages, their commission wages. It's good for everybody else, but it's not good for the agents. Bulldog is invalidated. The pullback is too deep. Newbie, your trailing drawdown is based on your max account value. So whatever your account was at, the highest point your account has ever been, that is where your trail is based. Same exact way, excuse me. Same exact way it worked in the evaluation. The only difference is it stops at your break even, where the evaluation did not stop. It's not exactly your break even. It's like a few $100s off, but I just say break even. It's a lot easier to say. I don't think we've had a single playbook trade today. The only trades that we've seen were VWAP trades. Just normal VWAP trades, nothing like a VWAP trap or anything like that. We have not had a single high strike rate trade today. Pretty boring, unfortunately. Hey, team, are you going to watch the Rose Namajunas fight on Saturday? It's not a big event, but it seems like it's a decent fight. She used to be a beast. She kind of fell off a little bit. I never saw her fall off because back when I was big in the UFC, she was dominating people, at least for a small amount of time. And then when I took my break, that's when she started falling off. So I think this is the first time I've seen her fight since I took my little break from watching UFC. But my buddy told me that she's been doing pretty terribly. Yeah, I don't think I've seen Amanda fight. I don't think I know a single person on this card except for Rose. Yeah, here's my contact email. Hey, music, no worries, man. Okay, Bulldog is invalidated, but we are still holding that double bottom here. It has not finished a rotation today. Let's see if it finishes the rotation into 06. It's finishing the cash rotations, but not the full session. Yeah, I'll send you over to my contact right now for the extension. Don't fall into their trap. They like doing this on FOMC weeks where they make Monday and Tuesday very boring. And people kind of get lulled into this sense of low volatility and security, right? And then it pops on Wednesday. Not just Wednesday either. I think we have some data later in the week as well. Yeah, Thursday's pretty heavy. And then we have Powell speaking on Friday. So Thursday's a big day to watch out for as well. Pretty funny how much that calendar dictates the price action on the market. Okay, I believe we're actually finishing rotation for once. It needs like one more point here, and we're finally finishing this rotation. Look at how small the market profile is today. Rotation complete. We'll see if they can stall it out before that 09 node. Decent little spike in delta there as well. Here comes VWAP on NQ. We're well above VWAP on SPY. Probably won't be able to break that VWAP on NQ unless the delta spikes here. Okay, Delta is spiking on NQ, so they are able to break that VWAP. I believe that's nearly, I was going to say high of day, but obviously not high of day if you include the overnight. But for the cash profile, that is high of day. So high of day for the cash profile on Delta. So getting a lot of Delta here on both ES and NQ. Could be going for the SPY gap fill. If you get a lot of delta above 09, it might be looking for that overnight high. I don't really know if we have the volume to maintain a move like that. So I doubt that's going to play out, but we'll see what it does. Stocks are turning pretty green. Most sectors are, for the most part, mostly green. Tech is still pretty red. Block trades coming in right above VWAP on NQ, slapping it back down into VWAP here. Bearish delta not that strong outside of that block trade. Yeah, bearish delta definitely not strong enough to hold below VWAP here. That was a single tick failure. Good call. Single tick failure on the high there, pulling back possibly to the 24 EMA. VWAP would be higher on NQ. So possibly VWAP on NQ, 24 EMA on ES. As long as those hold, it doesn't look too bad. Here's the pullback to VWAP and the 24 on NQ. Not really pulling back much on ES. You're getting a bearish block trade on the low there, most likely grabbing liquidity, which is probably trying to bounce it here. Typically regular hours, Scott. We want to see the market profile get repaired during regular trading hours, like the cash hours. ES kind of absorbing the bearish delta so far. Yeah, Chris, it's pretty funny how the day before the FOMC kind of trades like a holiday. If you ever need a long weekend, those are typically good weekends to go on holidays, are the ones that you have the FOMC on Wednesday. You can extend your weekend on like Monday, Tuesday. So that bearish, you're absorbing the bearish delta on the ES. So you're able to push this higher here. Really good bounce off that. VWAP, like we said, that bearish block trade coming in right there, most likely grabbing liquidity and actually wants it to go up. You could be looking, you just repaired the poor low. You could be looking for the gap fill, which is the overnight high here. You would need to maintain a lot of delta here, though. Volume is pretty low. Very likely going to return to balance, so I wouldn't expect too much. Not really, Simon. I basically just use it on impulses, kind of the same way that we use the regular fibs. All right, losing the 24 EMAs here, like we said earlier, most likely going to return to balance. It's going to be hard to keep this outside of balance on such a low volume day. So if we return to balance here, keep an eye on the POC and the Valerie low. They're pretty much the same level. Looking for a rotation back to 96. Yeah, oil looks good, man. I think the swing trade on energy sector and on oil is probably one of the better trades right now for the longer term traders in here. They're going to try to stay out of balance here. Delta's not too bad. They're holding on to that 24. They are doing a good job spiking Delta here. If they can stay above 52.10, there's not a whole lot of value above that. The tail is very weak. You could get to the overnight high there. Yeah, if it does shoot up a lot before the FOMC tomorrow, it's probably going to come back down. Same thing that happened yesterday. It tries to pull away from that weekly open, but it doesn't have the volume to really stay there. It's annoying when it does moves like this during the pre-market, because this was pretty obvious, right? They had that push away from the weekly open. You had that P shape kind of getting trapped once you started to hold on to 5220. And we talked about how if it opened below 20, you're looking for that incomplete auction, right? But then they take our entire trade and they do it pre-market. They take the easy trades for pre-market, then the cash trades are terrible. You weren't able to catch this trade unless you were trading around like 5, 6 a.m., which most traders are not. If you're in Europe, maybe, but US traders definitely not. That's 5, 6 a.m. Eastern time, so that's like 2 to 3 a.m. Western time. So this move was driven by the London traders. There's a hidden bear div here on NQ. You have a lower high on price, but a higher high on delta. Basically means you're absorbing bullish delta here. The weird thing we've been seeing with absorption, honestly, for the past few months, is whichever side is being absorbed typically ends up winning, even though that's not supposed to happen. So, like in this case, the buyers would end up winning when it should be going down. Volume already below 10K, not even 1130. Falling off pretty quickly today. Yeah, the London trading hours are not bad. I think London has some of the best trading hours. Yeah, this would be considered a hidden bear div on NQ. There's not a bear div on ES though. We have a poor high and a poor low. So pretty bad price action today. I typically don't watch Dow Jones, so I couldn't really give you an analysis that would be fair. I don't really know Dow Jones movements, to be honest. Dow Jones is the only green sector or green index. The sectors that are in Dow Jones, mostly energy and finance, they're doing pretty well today. You're kind of in like a vertical distribution on the ES and NASDAQ charts. Kind of forming a rollover top on NQ. You're not seeing that on ES. ES more of a distribution. Yeah, typically solo. Typically, if you're low volume, it's going to be pulled back into where the volume is. Yeah, there hasn't been a high strike rate trade today. This might be one here on NQ, the bear div. Possibly a bear div back into VWAP, but you're also trading very low volume. But there hasn't been a single playbook trade today. You've had a rotation. You've had one single rotation. But that was after 2 failed rotations, so definitely not a great day. The bear div's a hidden one, so you have a lower high, but you have a higher high on delta. So it shows either a trap or some kind of absorption. So basically, the buyers that were trying to buy the high here, they're getting trapped. It's actually starting to play out. You might pull back to VWAP here. Simon, I pretty much have a video on it already. The episode 1 of the playbook, that is pretty much a rollover top. We kind of talked about the rollover top and the bear div trade in one video. Volume is terribly low, so it's most likely going to return to balance. A little bit of a tweezer top here. If it stays below 07, you're going back into balance, looking for that POC and the value low. Market's pretty mixed. Sectors can't really decide what they want to do. A lot of the smaller sectors are green. Energy still looking the best. Energy and most of the financials is pretty green here. I believe that NVIDIA keynote speech is starting pretty soon. I think it starts around 11:30, you guys said. Okay, so that trade is done on NASDAQ here. That bear div has hit its target VWAP. Like the only good trade of the day was that bear div there. Starting to test the 1 hour delta on NQ and ES here. We'll see if it holds. There's actually multiple bear divs here. There's a small bear div right here as well on NQ. So you have a bigger bear div from these two highs, then you have another one on these two highs here. So either way, give you about 30 points. Nothing too crazy on NQ. 30 points on NQ's not a really big move. So far bouncing off VWAP here, protecting those 1 hour delta levels. Yeah, DJ, it's not really an anchored VWAP. It's just a cash VWAP. The cash session starts at 9:30. Really, really strong reaction here. Excuse me. Off of VWAP. Beautiful reaction off that 1 hour delta as well. They are protecting that level beautifully here. And this is the funny thing about trading, right? You had a high strike rate bear div that took almost 30 minutes to play out. And then it was retraced in 2 minutes. Still breaking balance. 30-minute candle closes in 1 minute. If it closes up here, they're probably looking for the overnight high, which would be 19. You did repair the poor high, still have a poor low. Couple of blocks coming in here. Those are bullish blocks at 12. It's hard to say, M. I would just keep an eye on Nvidia. Nvidia has been doing pretty poorly the past few days. They do have a gap fill, 885. So if they get pretty bullish on the conference, that's probably what they're looking for. A lot of blocks coming in here. Still breaking balance with that 30-minute candle. They're looking for that overnight high, most likely filling in the gap. This tail is extremely weak. They could easily get to the overnight high at 19. NASDAQ once again showing how strong VWAP is. It's had some significant VWAP trades these past few weeks. You didn't quite touch VWAP there. I think you missed it by a point or two. But instantly bouncing. before breaking that VWAP. Most likely looking for the overnight high here, looking for 19. So pretty much every single possible trade today was related to VWAP. Not seeing a whole lot of high strike rate trades today. And notice how, like we were saying earlier, if it wants to stay out of balance, you need to spike in volume and delta. Because if you don't see those spikes, the high volume section of the day, like the POC, right? The POC, where that value is, it pulls price back into it. So if you just have that low volume chop, you're typically going to pull back into balance. The only times that you don't do that are the times that we talk about the vertical distribution, right? When you have those really low volume, nasty, choppy moves up. And we're constantly saying, like, we kind of know it's going to come back, we just don't know when it's going to come back. This wouldn't really be a vertical distribution because we see that volume spike. So this is a proper break of balance here. All right, guys, with that said, we're going to call it a stream. I appreciate you guys all being here. I will be streaming tomorrow, same time as always. We will have an extra stream tomorrow as well for the FOMC. So I'll see you guys in the morning tomorrow and in the afternoon for that FOMC press conference. If you guys are in Discord, just go to the trading floor. We'll be hanging out there for the rest of the day. If you guys are not in Discord, I will catch you guys tomorrow. If you guys haven't already, be sure to check out our stream partners. We do have a new raffle going on. Let me grab that. So we ended our old raffle. I think I contacted all the winners. You guys did respond. So I think you guys are all good to go. We're going to be doing a new raffle for the 80% off. It's also a 1 day to pass, and I believe they have half off resets as well. Raffle is the same as last one. So you get 1 ticket per 50K account. That goes for the higher accounts as well. Just do the math on that. Obviously, 100K is 2 accounts, or sorry, 2 tickets. So on and so forth. We will be pulling probably about 3 to 4 winners, the same thing we did for the last raffle. And yeah, that's all I got. I'll see you guys in Discord. If you guys are not in Discord, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. I'll see you then. Peace.